What I want to show you is how you can actually graph in your calculator. So I have some examples here, some questions for this example, and then I also have a graphing calculator. So the first thing is we want to be able to graph this line, y equals 2x minus 3. So I'll turn my calculator on, and I'll go to y equals. And something like this should pop up. Now I want to say that y equals 2x minus 3. So I'll say 2x minus 3. I know that it's going to graph this because the equal sign is highlighted, so it's only going to graph y1. You can graph multiple equations, but I'm only going to graph 2x minus 3. So once I do that, I'll hit graph. And something like this should pop up. You can also change your window. Like let's say I want to make it a little bit smaller. If I click window, this x minimum says how far to the left do I want my x values to go. So maybe I want to change that to -6. You don't have to. X max is what's the largest x value, so this is how far to the right, so let's change that to 6. Let's leave the scaling at 1. Y minimum is how far should my graph go down, so what's the smallest y value? I'll change that to -6, and then also the y maximum, how far do I want it to go up? And now let's graph it. And you could play around, of course, with these window values, but there's my graph. The next question says, find the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is where x is equal to 0. So there are a couple ways you can do this, but I think this might be the easiest. If I go to second and then calc, and I go to 0 value, we'll do 0 next. I know that the y-intercept is given by x equals 0. And if I just type in x equals 0, that tells me that my y-intercept is 0, -3. Next thing I want to do is I want to figure out the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is the 0 of the function. That's where the entire thing is equal to 0. So I'll go to second calc again. This time I'm looking for a 0. I'm going to go close to the x-intercept. So there you can see my cursor is pretty close to it. Now I'll go a little bit left. I'll press enter. Go back to it. Go a little bit right. Press enter. And then for guess, just press enter one more time. And there's my x-intercept. So my x-intercept is 1.50. The last thing I want to do is fill in this table, and your calculator actually has a nice table feature. So first thing I'm going to do is you can go to the table and see what it looks like. This is what my table looks like right now. So of course I can just scroll through and figure out where is x equal to -1, and then put the corresponding y values. But let's say I want to do a different way. If I go to table set, so that was second and then window, and go down here to independent and change it to ask. Independent is your x variable, and I want to explicitly tell my calculator my x variables. Then it comes up like this, and I'll type in -1. It'll spit out the y value. I'll type in 2, gives me the y value, 0, 5, and 7. So my y values were -5, 1, -3, 7, and 11. So that's how you can graph in your calculator, find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept, and then fill in a table.